I just got off the phone with Brian, and he asked that I give him some of chapter 15, I think. So I I think everybody did 13, uh, but I'll throw up 14, 15, 16 because I think 17 is already up. So if you're struggling with some of these early problems and you haven't handed them in yet, maybe this will help. What do we got? McGraw Hill. McGraw Hill. I hope you all are doing all right. Don't get freaked out by all of this. Write me a little paper. Put a blog up with your thoughts on the stock that you're covering, whatever one that is. You can change your mind. Um, and let's be done with this weird semester. Oh, I went to 122 like a moron. Let's go back. My course is 120. I still have a cough. I haven't been treated for it. This is a weird thing about the health situation. They tested me for COVID, but no, they wouldn't treat me for anything until the COVID thing came back. And then, God darn it. And then, of course, it just gets worse because I get this every year and I know exactly how to treat it and da da da. Uh, so there you go. That's what happens when government steps into the healthcare system. They screw it up. If it was my Jim's world, I'd just go down and get the drugs I need from the pharmacy and treat myself because everybody's a doctor. Let's see now. Oh, let's go. Let's go chapter 14 homework. Yeah, I'll go 14, 15, 16. And here's the preview. 14, 15, 16, and I'll do them real quick so that you can get them. So there's 14 manufacturing cost per drum set, and per unit cost is total cost divided by 1,000. Duh, got it. I hope so. Same kind of thing here. Trial balance. And other records of Leon, Compañía. Here you go. Just gets you to discern costs and figure out what costs go where. As you know, this is largely subjective, and I'm doing a little writing right now about the subjectivity of accounting on the whole, and the problems we're having in the stock market are not just due to the coronavirus. So figure that out. You're in college because you're bright, and anybody who thinks that the coronavirus is what is wrong with United States stocks is not getting the whole picture. So there's a lot more to it than that. And part of it, of course, is what I would consider shoddy accounting. And as you know, I come to the accounting world from the analyst side, or the buy side, if you want to call it that. I'm not a CPA, and I didn't drink the damn Kool-Aid that all accountants are above reproach or anything like that. I think most public companies, starting with Amazon and the likes of the FANG stocks, their reporting is crap. And it's not because the people are bad. Don't misread me again. I'm talking about institutions and bad incentives that cause these failures. There's chapter 14. Now let's come back. home and we'll do chapter 15 real quick. But when government steps into markets and creates distorted incentives, you get exactly what you incentivize. And if you incentivize murkiness, since 1934, the 1934 Act made 10Ks and 10Qs, made this uniformity, and it also made people figure out ways to get around a lot of stuff. And you see that in accounting. Why do you think they stress so much teaching morality and ethics, and why do we keep having, why do we need Sarbanes-Oxley, and then we need Dodd-Frank, and then we need all this legislation over and over? Well, it turns out you can't legislate morality. People need to learn and be incentivized to do the right thing. And it just so happens that I think that the marketplace is the best adjudicator of that. The market will beat the crap out of people and make them be honest, whereas the government always fails at that. Regulation is always a failure. Me standing up and telling you to do the right thing, it's sort of like if you put me in office, despite the fact you all know me as this wonderful person, the power would get to me very quickly, and I would make decisions based on self that would have ramifications that were negative to other people. So my belief, of course, and you don't have to believe the way I believe, but I'm certainly going to present it to you. My 56 years of watching what's going on is that the Constitution that they came up with, Madison and Jefferson, was to protect you from me, to protect you from my ego, to protect you. It was to protect ordinary citizens from the excesses of government and power. And unfortunately, it didn't work. Anybody who's standing around as a, well, I'm a Trump conservative or something, I want to say to them, what conservative? In other words, if you're conservative, I think you sort of say, well, I want to conserve the first principles of the Constitution. What conservative would look at the spending that's going on vis-a-vis this situation and say that is constitutionally allowable? It's not. And I understand all the arguments that say, gee, we had to help people and all of that. And it's very easy for me to say one thing, and that is that when you take dollars out of my pocket and wash them up in Washington, D.C., and then send them back to people, it's very wasteful. The best way to do it, and when you tax me like that, it sort of lets me off the hook when it comes to helping people directly, right? So charity disappears, and charity is, despite the fact that people are incredibly charitable, all of the good charity operations have been replaced by statist government plans and things like that. So I think it disincentivizes people to directly interact with, for example, the homeless or people who are on the fringes. And so when you get to a situation like this, no one thinks there could be a private solution. All they think of is that, oh, well, the government has to do something because they have all the money. And that's a bad way to do things, in my opinion. Okay, here is, so there you go. Job costing. Bad idea. So the libertarian ideal is that you wouldn't, in a situation like this, there is no problem. The um, people would step up to the plate like they've done in different areas of the private sector and helped out. I belong to an organization. You guys all know it. I'm a recovered alcoholic. We didn't wait for the government to tell us how to have meetings. We didn't, wait for the government to quarantine and go to Zoom and all. It just happened. People just did it immediately, and there wasn't any edict. There was no organization at AA that says thou shalt do this. We just do it. We just do it, and it works, and it's quick, quicker than really quick, because we don't have any bureaucracy. We don't have barely any organization, and it just boom. Everybody's online, and suddenly I'm getting emails, and they're telling me different Zoom meetings and how to log in and all the instruction and everything I need. Nobody asked anybody to do that. They just did it. And that's the way the world should work, in my opinion. This is chapter 16, of course. Number 3. So that's something to think about going forward. Every time there's a crisis, government grows, and not in a good way. If you want to read a good book about that, it was written, I think, in 1984. It's called Crisis in Leviathan, and it just outlines each war and each crisis and the growth of government that ensued. Um, you know, as you know, it's sort of, I watched CMC do it. The growth of the administration over the years has overshadowed the growth of what we really do, which is teach students. And that's pretty much what happened in the public school system too. That's why there's no one who would stand up and say we're doing a good job educating children K through 12. I very difficult to find someone that is that ideologically possessed that they would say that the public school system's been a success. And the problem is usually not that there's a lack of dedicated teachers. It's a problem with way too much administration and way too much oversight and a disconnect between students and teachers. Now, luckily, at this level, we still have a certain amount of freedom. Nobody's telling me what to say or do, and they can try and run me off, I guess. But you generally don't get a heterodox, a two-sided kind of a discussion at this level either. Almost all of my colleagues are either Marxists or on the left or left-leaning. So they don't, and I'm a libertarian. I'm certainly not. I'm sort of anti-political, so I don't fit anywhere. But certainly, heterodoxy is needed to just walk in and say, the greatest issues of our time have been decided already, and we don't need to. There's a consensus amongst educators. That's an absurdity. Now, quickly on your paper, you don't have to write 2,400 words totally. If you come short of that, what I was talking with Brian today, and you can see down here in files, there's There's some papers that are that I've put out there, sample research papers. This second one is a good one to go over, fiscal policies, and these are ones I wrote. And you can see this is APA. That's how I want you to write. And when I go through a paper, I've made one of these over the years, and I just keep using it over and over. Running head up here, numbers, purpose, review of the literature. What do I do in a review of the literature? Exactly what it says. I review the literature. And I go and I tell you where my sources came from and why they're credible. Right? So I'm trying to telegraph to you that these sources have credibility. This is interesting because it was after 2008, and I'm talking about federal budget and what's going on. There's the analysis. These are the findings, right? So in your paper, you're gonna take a look at maybe one to three things that you picked out in the book, like price per earnings of the company, if it's Disney, like Brian was talking about, or you're going to look at any number of things that we've learned over the 2 semesters. You can go all the way back to chapter 1 if you want, and figure out some different ratios, or why you think the stock is a buy or a sell, or why you think everything is a sell and the hell with it. However you want to give it to me. But if you have any questions on the paper, let me know. But write me a little paper. And as you can see, I've got this discussions tab going. And some people have already, Cleaver Capital Partners. I put it in a blog form so that you can read through this. Parker and John and Esley, I think, are 3 people who have already kind of pitched me their stock, right? Overall, Tesla would have been an incredible company to invest in mid-November timeframe until mid-February, but the industry had been dominated. People lost interest in the Cybertruck because of it. Yeah, okay, I like that. What are we going to do about if we were all together on a Zoom meeting? We could ask Parker some questions. Maybe I will on here. But nonetheless, is Tesla going to get crushed? I don't know if anybody mentioned the price of oil, because John's got Tesla here too, but the price of oil going to zero is a big deal does that end the Tesla game? I don't know. But certainly that's got to be a question in that. So, all right. Any other questions? Let me know. I'm going to upload this sucker so Brian can have it and you all can take a look at it. So I'm going to do that now. Love y'all, and I hope you're staying healthy. I think this thing is way overblown, but nonetheless, here we are. And what's funny, and I'll end with this, is I think the rush to sending everyone home, it's sort of like we've crushed the economy, and now we're all going to go back to work, and everybody's going to get this illness, which is going to run through, it has to run through everyone anyway. I would have done it from the beginning and depended on herd immunity. And believe me, I'm the one that's, in trouble. I should stay home. But you get what I mean. It's like you didn't have to crush the economy that badly. You could have just let the whole thing run its course, which would have been my method. Left it up to people to sort it out, which is, of course, the libertarian method. So government has no place in making these kinds of decisions. They basically suck at everything. So there you go. All right. Catch you later.